let's talk about what Sims got wrong with his quarterback rankings, in your opinion.
Come on, man. You know where I'm going with this.
Definitely Justin Fields. Trey Lance as well? Okay.
The Trey Lance one doesn't really bother me as much, right? Because I love the kid. I think that he probably has the highest ceiling of all of them, but the floor, right? We just don't know what that is right at this point. You know, when you go back and you watch Trey runs, you know, a pro-style offense. They have a really good – Dylan Redunz is a great tackle as well, too, which shouldn't be overlooked and you know, in the draft as well. You know, he hits a lot of those throws that Shanahan gets open as far as those leaks and things like that, you know, like where there's plays where Trey runs out after a play action and he runs to the far hash and he throws it across and it's like, boom, dot. And it's like it's in there, right? So I'm not that upset with what he said about Trey. The Justin Fields thing, when I got to see him talk a little bit more about his footwork, I didn't see what he's talking about with his feet being too close.
I didn't hear that part. What feet too close? Is that what he said?
Yeah, feet too close, and then he says that he's striding. I don't really see that. I mean, but again, look, just because I didn't see it doesn't mean that it's not there, right? You know, so it's just those were, you know, he offered more context to his analysis on the Unbuttoned podcast, which came out, I think, today or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, where he actually stood up with the football, even though he's lefty, and showed what he, you know, and I didn't really, you know, once you take a look at that, you tell me, but I don't really think I saw any of those things where
and what was his point? So he says that it causes him to overstride.
Yeah, and then he misses easy throws, he says, because of things like that. And I'm like, so here's the problem that I have.
That's teachable,
right? Right, I think so. But in one breath, you say he's a first round talent, and then you say, oh, he can't hit these easy throws. Which is it, man? Like,
yeah, you know, exactly. Like, is this something he can't do, or is that fixable? See, to me, he is Cam Newton. I think he's a lot like I don't see Deshaun Watson. I see Cam Newton because Cam Newton's the same way, man. Cam Newton throws every pass the same way, and it's like muscles up really hard, or used to be. And then the last couple of years, he started to get better with the short throws, but it took him deep into his career. When he played originally on the Panthers, it was you drop back, hold the ball a long time, wait for dudes to to run downfield and throw low percentage passes down the field. That's your game. And if it doesn't work out, run. Justin Fields could do that, and he could have success. I just don't think he can execute Kyle Shanahan's offense right now the way Kyle wants it, because Kyle has a bunch of short passes, and I think he wants a guy who's really good in the short game, like a golfer. Like, I don't think he cares as much about the drive as he does about the chips and the iron shots, because it's a lot of slants. And that's why I think Kyle would agree that Zach Wilson is better, because Zach Wilson is smaller. He's got a shorter stroke. He's just more natural on the short stuff. I think that means something to Sims and to Shanahan, and it wouldn't mean that much to another quarterback. Maybe Andy Reid would be like, you know what? I don't care. I can fix these two things with Justin Fields, and he'd be explosive on my team.
One more thing that Chris Sims said that I thought was interesting is that he's like, oh, he's a fit. Like, he was like, yeah, he's like, he could go in a Shanahan offense, right? I thought I heard him say something like that. Yeah. So what are we doing here? So look, I've had a lot of people come to me and say, well, why would he wreck his credibility by keeping Justin Fields' stock down? I'm like, well, it's not that. He's not going to have his credibility wrecked. You know why?
He'll be on
Pro Football Talk next year. He'll be on Pro Football Talk. Yeah. And like, you know, even if, let's say, he gets it wrong, who cares? That man does not read social media. That man has a job. You're not going to cancel him, so it doesn't matter, right? So, you know, the conspiracy theorists want to put their tinfoil hat on and say, he's doing Kyle's work, keeping him down, you know, things like that. Maybe, but at the same time, that guy can say whatever he wants. He's earned all that, right? And that's the point that I'm really with on this one. So,
and I think his main point about dude is that he just have to run a specific type of offense to get Fields on the field as a rookie. And I think some coaches would be more willing to do that than others. We're going to see a bunch of coaches willing to work with Justin Fields. I just think Sims is kind of revealing that Shanahan isn't that type, and I'm not surprised. Shanahan wants a dude like Mac freaking Jones.
Yeah.
You know, the athleticism is a bonus for Kyle. It's not – if that's everything, then he's going to nitpick you to freaking death.
He wants everything on script. He wants everything on script. Yeah.
I'm telling you, and that's what I was saying about Fields when we were talking in the roundtable. Like, look, he's not executing. You can feel that's coachable, but I don't think Kyle does. Because maybe Kyle can't coach it. Maybe Andy Reid can. Maybe these, you know, they're different backgrounds. But I'm not surprised that Chris Sims says it, because I feel like Chris Sims and Kyle basically share a brain on these things. Yeah. And I don't know. I wasn't surprised. So what I thought you go ahead.
Good. No, well, what I was going to say is, and hey, if Justin Fields finds his way at 12, okay.
Yeah. I don't think they'll take him though. But prove me wrong, Kyle. That'd be interesting. What I think Chris Sims got wrong was the Zach Wilson thing. I really like Zach Wilson. I think he's a hell of an athlete. But to put him number one and say that it's a wide margin above Trevor Lawrence, the stuff he said about Trevor Lawrence was very interesting. And I'm not even going to say he's wrong. Trevor Lawrence is high cut. He's 6'6" with long arms. Those quarterbacks don't work in the NFL. Justin Herbert does. He's kind of the exception. And if you look at he has like abnormally short arms for a tall guy. It matters. I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence won't work, but again, his short game might not be that good. I don't think Kyle would I think Kyle would prefer Zach Wilson. But dude, Zach Wilson is he is a one-year wonder. You go back and watch, he had some very uneven games in 2019. That's not that long ago. And he's allowed to improve. But to take a guy that high in the draft, to say he's clearly the number one best player in the draft based on like 13 games in a pandemic year where he didn't play anyone better than Coastal Carolina, to me is just like asking to be wrong. There's just not enough evidence to say something that's strong about him. I have a lot of questions.
So here's another thing that I want to float to you because it's been floated out there, and I kind of took a peek at his mentions. And this is how I know this man does not look at social media at all. He tweets and either mutes and just moves on and doesn't even look. So someone said the week before he put Lamar at 1 or Josh Allen at 1, right? Because that's what he's really standing on. He had Lamar number 1, and then like so week to week, what's change. The real right? Yeah, so I mean, I'm not trying to knock Chris Sims at all. Like I said, this man has earned his equity to be able to say what he wants to say because he's been right on certain things. I'm just trying to figure out, what's the timeline on these rankings, right? So he put them out 3 days ago, March 1st. This is it, right? So now nobody's going to remember any changes that he makes. This is it.
True. So that's true. So, I mean, do you have the questions I have, Wilson? I mean, he plays really freely, but God, couldn't a lot of people do what he does at BYU?
No, he does. I think that what I like about him is that he runs, a lot of Andy Reid's an alma mater, so he's given them plays to run, just so he can like get in the style of running NFL style plays and pro style plays. I know that, for sure, and I see it. Look, if you're asking me right now to do whatever, I've got Wilson 2 behind Trevor Lawrence. I do, and I love Justin Fields. I've got him at 3, but. Is there a world that Zach Wilson could be number 1? Yeah. It's just I have a harder time believing that over Trevor Lawrence. Like, again, give me the sure bet. Even if Trevor Lawrence has deficiencies, like, you could say one read quarterback about any of these guys pretty much at this point, right? Even Trevor Lawrence. Like, but again, in college, those reads are for like one read, sometimes there are no progressions. There's a lot of context and nuance that needs to be, shout out to Vish, nuance needs to be out there and thrown in there. But I mean, everybody has concerns. None of these guys are bulletproof. It just feels like Lawrence is the number one, chance to be the right guy. There's concerns with Wilson and the concerns with Fields. Again, Wilson's the one who's actually played more than Fields and those guys. So those guys at least get a little bit of pass as far as experience goes. There is a possibility there's a one-year wonder. There is a possibility that he clicked it together. Yep. So I just don't see him falling past the Jets. I think at 2, I think that's where he's at. He's going.
Well, we've been giving comparisons for each of these quarterbacks. We compared Mac Jones to Kirk Cousins, pretty much agreed there. I compared Kellen Mond to Alex Smith. You had never thought of that. We compared Justin Fields to Cam Newton. Is that kind of fair? I think we both feel he's basically Cam.
It's like a mix of Cam with a little bit of. I see a little Watson. I do. Okay. I do. It's just I see, but I'm not flat out saying yes. His comp is Deshaun.
Cam was a rookie of the year, so I mean, if Justin Fields can pull that off. I just feel like you can structure offense to fit Justin Fields. Let him drop back and throw deep. He can do it. And if he needs to protect himself, he can run after that. If you want him to execute a quick passing offense, why would you even draft him? It's not what he's built for. It's not what Cam's built for. So that's on. Kyle would never change his offense for Justin Fields, in my opinion. But he just wouldn't. He's so stingy.
He had to do it with RG3
but not willingly.
No, he did. Of course not. He was forced. They didn't even want to draft him. Snyder was like, "This is who you're drafting."
And so I guess Kyle would disagree with me with this because I think he loves Zach Wilson, but I'm comparing Zach Wilson to RG3. Now maybe physically they move a little differently, but just step back. RG3 had a bunch of decent years at Baylor. He also missed a year with a surgery. Zach Wilson has shoulder surgery. And then, boom, this one glorious freaking year where he's the Heisman Trophy winner and has like 37 touchdowns and 15 rushing, 50 touchdowns. But it's just 1 year at Baylor. And he's the number 2 pick. Some people even said he was better than Andrew Luck. He tears it up right away, but he really runs around a lot and doesn't have a very good feel of how to protect himself, and he gets hurt. I don't want to speak that into existence for Zach Wilson because I don't want a kid to get hurt, but I'm afraid drafting him, limited sample size. Is he going to get hurt playing like that in the NFL? That's what scares me about Zach Wilson. Durability, even though he pulled it off at BYU.
Yeah, I mean, those are concerns for sure, you know, and yeah, I mean, again, this is what makes the evaluation process so fun, right? Is everybody has their things. What can they overcome? What are they going to learn from? You know, durability, that's something that I don't think can change. I think it's a little bit of luck, you know, when it comes to injuries, right? Because not, you know, I mean, some guys just either can stay healthy or can't. But, you know, I wouldn't use that if I was the Jets as a reason to not take him at 2, honestly, at this point. You know, give Darnold his last shot this year, see what happens, and then try to move him because, you know, next year Darnold gets really expensive. I don't know if anybody's going to be in the market for him at this point. I
mean, there are, like, talk about one-year wonders. Like, Kyler Murray was a one-year wonder, but it's not like he had like mediocre years. He just had 1 year and he was a baller.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zach Wilson as a sophomore had 11 touchdown passes and 9 picks. Like, what is that? That's people like, well, Joe Burrow blossomed. Like, Joe Burrow had 16 touchdown passes and 5 picks his junior year, and 7 rushing touchdowns. Like, he wasn't mediocre the way.
And don't discount his age either. Joe Burrow was older. Like, it was almost like, you know, I don't know if you remember a movie called Necessary Roughness with Scott Bakula. Like, that's how old he looks sometimes on the field, you know, being a quarterback, you know, who's like a 40-year-old guy playing with kids, you know. So that's why Joe Burrow, for me, he was like a slam dunk as far as like where he was going to be, because the guy was already mature, you know, when he came out. So that helped too. You know, that's another thing that you have. Again, there's all these little things that you have to take into consideration when you're doing quarterback evals, and that's what makes it so fun, honestly.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, when he said the thing about Zach Wilson, I was like, wow, dude, you were so wrong. But then when I listened to what he said about Kellen Mond, I was like, man, you're 100% right about Kellen Mond. I was like, dude, I gotta take you seriously about Zach Wilson because you're really perceptive. And it seems like what makes Chris Sims good, in my opinion, and we'll stop with him, is a lot of people want to focus on like 3 things. Like, these are the most important things to look at with a quarterback. It's the whole picture, man. There's like 15 things at least, and he does a good job of seeing the whole picture and articulating it. That's what I see.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you know, again, like I said, when you hit and your track record is as good as Chris Sims is, you can jump out on bridges and jump out on limbs all you want because you've gotten it right so many times. So, yeah.
And he said his goal is to be a GM in the NFL. If he gets this right, someone might need to hire them onto his staff because NFL's quarterback scouting is terrible. It's freaking terrible. And it seems like all these guys in the media and on teams are afraid to really think for themselves the way this guy does. Like, every year, everyone has the same quarterback rankings, and there's no, like, the bust rate is still sky high.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing, too. My claim to fame with Chris Sims is he's from Ramapo, New Jersey. And I'm from Hoboken, New Jersey. And Hoboken high school team, they hadn't lost a game in 5 years. Powerhouse, absolute powerhouse, straight up powerhouse. Chris Sims comes in, his father's on the other side, and sure enough, in our stadium, boom, 13-7, Chris Sims walks away with a championship for Ramapo. I'll never forget that. Oh, no, my bad, not Ramapo, Sparta, New Jersey. He's from Sparta. Okay. So that's my Chris Sims, you know, claim to fame.
Shout out Chris Sims. He clearly watches the show because he stole my Kellen Mond take.
That's it.